but
I think it was the residual income, but the ability to. I really love people. I like getting out and talking to people and making things like that happen. And I don't have the luxury of that quite as much like I used to because of the amount of children that I do have. But when I get a chance to sit and speak with people, I always feel like I make an impact or can make an impact on people's lives. And that comes down to the same thing as, going and showing a house or a listing and someone that's in trouble or having issues or they need to get rid of their house or they've just gone through a loss or something to that effect. I feel like I'm put in those positions on purpose.
right.
But I mean, obviously the residual income, I mean, who doesn't want that?
It's huge. I mean, the first time all your bills are paid that month and you didn't do anything, you're like, wow, it's going to keep coming in. It is the coolest feeling in the world.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
And I think when we didn't succeed at Amway, because we ran into some obstacles we'll get into in a little bit here, I just couldn't shake the idea of getting residual income. So I messed around in insurance. I messed around with the merchant services world, came back to insurance, tried investments, got my Series 6 and 63, just tried to find this way to, how can I keep doing this? How can I? And then I fell into Medicare. I'm like, Medicare? I'm like, what's Medicare? But then we just started finding clients, buying books of business, and now we work. I mean, Rachel and I work probably, I'd say an average of 5 to 10 hours a week, and it's wonderful.
That's amazing. Yeah,
but
that's
at the
fantastic.
same, and it's not a brag. It's just, but it's
no, not at all.
It's the power of all this residual income. Like, great, I don't have to do anything today. I can be a Friday morning. Let's go start a podcast. Let's go meet with Chad and just talk, and it's good to connect.
100%.
But as far as some of the stuff that we ran into, I mean, not to flip this to the negative side, but is there anything that happened in the, when you were going through it, like, wow, it's they don't do that anymore. Like they don't do this because I remember at one point we get this. I mean, maybe this was a normal thing, maybe not. Where they asked us, hey, send a book of signed blank checks to your upline so that when they're doing the orders every week for CDs and stuff like that to listen to, they'll just be able to write in the dollar amount and you're good to go. So you don't have to mail it every time. And being kids, I was 24. I didn't know. I'm like, oh, okay, then we trusted them. And
it's good enough. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. They said that's what we're supposed to do to be successful, and that's what we'll do. And so I remember sending a book of signed blank checks to the people above us. And I only remember getting burned once. I remember a check clearing for like $1,500, and I thought, oh God, I didn't write that. What is this from? And then I figured out, it was the
tools
people above me that were doing this, and it was the wrong amount. They filled in somebody else's dollar amount on my check, and
oh geez. So
it ended up getting cleared up. But I think those are the things that we ran into that kind of made it a little bit. What are we doing here?
I think that the toughest part there was always discrepancies, and back then I'll take the responsibility for it. But I wasn't the most organized. I would go through.
Oh no, this wasn't you, brother.
I know.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, as far as the human element, remember,
Yeah.
one of the things they took away is that everything is ordered online now, so there's nothing that you could do. I mean, promotionally or what have you, if you wanted to buy tapes and things like that. But one of the things that I made mistakes with is if I was sitting down writing everything by hand, at least I thought I was accurate.
Right.
And then there would be missing tools. There was always missing tools. And he's like, just write me a check for the missing tools. And I just need the money. I'll get it to you. Oh man, this was back ordered. And you come in 4, 5, 6 weeks later. He's like, oh no, I already gave you that. And so there was that element of, one $10 tape here, 3 tapes here, 2 books here. And all of a sudden you're dealing with $250 a week.
Right.
$1,000 a month that's coming directly out of my pocket. And that was one of those things where I was like, man, that's getting a little bit out of hand. And so when you check up on it and you go back and talk, it creates an argument. And that was the first real exposure to the human element. And as it turned out, some of the people that I was involved with ended up getting removed from the business, and then came back in the business in the most, shady way, but maybe borderline an ethical way to be able to get back into the business and be in success and then be in leadership and do the things that you did before and still be rewarded for it. And I think that was where it kind of turned for me. And I remember one night, I had decided I was going to get back in the business after Hallie and Emma had both passed away. And I was still really raw. It was probably too soon to even try.
Yeah.
Really. And I went to a function with one of the main speakers in the entire business. And he showed up in town and got out of his car. And he's like, man, it's so great to see you. And he's like, what have you been up to? And I was like, man, I just lost 2 daughters back to back, and I'm pretty devastated. It's been a really rough time. And he's like, well, enough with the excuses. It's time to get going.
Oh,
and to me,
man.
I was like, that honestly flipped a switch for me. I was like, these dudes don't care at all. Like
Yeah.
that didn't make any sense to me. And the reason why I'm still in touch with Jimmy is because I feel like he's the one dude that's always been like, man, I'm so sorry, brother.
Yeah.
You know, if there's anything I can ever do to help you. And in fact, he called me the other day and he said, I'm referring this guy to you because I think he needs you. He needs someone with a heart that cares and loves people, and he needs someone with a soul right now because his wife just passed away. And I thought, man, what a great compliment
What a good guy.
that you could
Yeah.
get from someone. I mean, anybody calling and
He
saying,
sponsored
hey,
my folks, actually.
Did he? Oh, did he really?
Back
Yeah.
in the day, because this is back in the 80s.
Yeah, and he's still at it. He's still a double diamond. It might even be a triple. I haven't asked him. We don't really discuss what he is in the business, but it was really cool to have him say, "Hey, the reason why I'm sending you to this guy is because I know that you're a lot like me."
Right.
I was like, "Man, that's about as good a compliment as you can get from someone."
Yeah, no
You
kidding.
know?
So double diamond, what kind of income are we talking with that?
Man, it's been a long time.
So
back
there's-
then, it was like
What are the levels? So it's
it was,
there's
it was like platinum.
so platinum's kind of the
silver,
first
obviously.
tier.
Silver was where you really hit 7,500, I believe. It's
Okay.
been a while since I've looked at it. 7,500, then you went
7,500
to
what?
you
Just
then
for-
you
just for-
confirmed. Yeah, 1 month 7,500 PV, which is purchase volume.
Okay.
I think if I'm saying it correctly, don't quote me on this. It's been a long time. But PV was the volume you needed to create to generate income, which was your business volume or BV. I don't know if you remember PV. and
Yeah, I
BV.
remember the acronyms, but I don't remember what it stood for. Yeah.
So purchasing in on that, and you'd get 7,500 volume, which was throughout your entire group, and they wanted you to spend 300 to 400 per couple or per married couple or what have you, which now I think is actually probably easier than it's ever been.
Right.
Because of just the general increase in price and everything else is probably easier than what it was when we were kids.
Right.
And I know for sure I could do just with my family alone.
Might hit
I
that
could probably
volume every-
do 1,000 a month, because I think our food bill, just general food bill, is $2,000 a month.
Oh man.
Just for food.
Man.
So that's not counting date nights and anything else. That's just us eating food every day. And that's, the littles are tiny. So when my kids turn 16, I'm probably going to call you for a loan or two and just to
So
see if I
date,
can money.
yeah, right. So date night's just you and your wife just
Yeah.
stepping in the backyard, and your kids are all inside. Like you're on a date.
We actually have the luxury of date nights every week.
Awesome.
My mother-in-law is a phenomenal babysitter. She comes and takes care of the kids. We get them all scheduled and situated, make sure that they're fed, and she has actually given us a vacation every year since we've had
That's
4
awesome.
kids. So we're we go to Florida once a year typically, or California, depending upon what's closest and or what's easiest to make, by the way. But as far as the levels through Amway, you have 7,500. Then you have Ruby, which I think was 15,000. And then if you have a platinum leg,
Right.
if you have 2 platinum,
So
3
you have
platinum legs, is
you're
emerald.
this, and then you have a platinum
Yeah,
person
platinum
that's
legs. So
doing-
yeah, if you
okay.
have 3 platinum legs, you're an emerald. If you have 6 platinum legs, you're a diamond. Then 9 is double, and then I believe 12 is
Isn't there an
triple diamond.
executive diamond in there
There's
too?
the EDC I think is 9,
Okay.
and then I think triple diamond is 12, and then anything above that's something beyond. I think it's crown ambassador,
Okay.
crown, and then crown ambassador. If it's still the same, it's been a long time. So I mean, there's obvious ways to build it.
How
And-
much money do you think we're talking though? If somebody says, "Hey, this Jimmy guy, Jim and Judy."
Oh,
double
realistically?
diamond. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, what
man.
does that look like?
Dude, honestly, it's been so long, I don't remember. I know that at Diamond, they were saying that you could make, if you were a 12-month fully qualified Diamond, which is being qualified with
Every
all
month.
6 of those Platinums, 12 out of 12, you get extra bonuses and things. And I think it was like back then, which is 20 years ago, I think it was $250,000. I think it was $250,000 a year
a lot of
average.
money.
Average, a decent amount of money, yeah, for sure. And I think that once you get up to EDC, it was in that 300 to 350 range, and Triple Diamond was like $500,000 to $1 million, depending upon the bonuses. And then Crown and Crown Ambassador got into the millions of dollar range, 500 to $1 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. However, there's obviously, you have all of your write-offs and your situations with taxes and things like that. So I don't really know. Honestly, I never made it that far to figure out. I got to the point where I had 2 or 3 legs that were approaching 4,000. I got really close to Ruby 1 month was it. And I think I got to 13,500. My upline wanted me to stretch, and I had already ripped as much out of that business as I possibly could, which was another one of those problems. Just like about expanding your Medicaid business. if you go through and you expand too quickly, if you push too hard on the people that you're working with, or even push yourself too hard, you're going to have attrition like nobody's business. You're going to stretch that rubber band back, and it's going to snap back on you
Snaps
hard.
at some point. Yeah, we're running into that. Not to get off on a tangent, but we just bought a big book, 2 books of business over the last 2 years. We're buying 2 more this coming summer. So it is a worry. It's, am I going to be able to handle this? Are we going to be able to expand enough, bring on enough agents?
Yeah, to be able to do what you need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because my goal is to, have enough clients where, I mean, I know this is the dream, but go be in Puerto Rico or somewhere and say, okay, we get a call, great, send it to an agent, you guys go take care of it, so we can kind of
you can do your own
them.
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can not only be financially independent, but you can be independent of your financial independence.
Yeah, I don't want the business to own me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, even with real estate, if I don't make calls, if I'm not on the phone every day, then I don't make money. And you have to prepare that all the work I'm doing today is for April. May, June, July.
Right.
And so I'm prepping for summer right now. I got to prime the pump and keep people interested and get them involved and let them know what the rates are. And hey, we just saw the 10-year treasury's changing and it's going to change the interest rate. So you got to stay abreast of those changes. I talked to 5 people today just on that same subject. Like, hey, looks like things are going in the right direction. When do you want to list your house? And they're, February, March, April, whatever. But you're preparing for 2-3 months from now.
Yeah. So if somebody said, Chad, I've seen the statistics. I don't know what the success rate is for, 1 out of 100, say, independent business owners that make it, that really start turning a profit. If somebody came to you today and said, hey, should I do this? Is it a good idea? What would you say to them?
Depends on their skill level, their workload, what they have to offer the business, what can they do? I mean, if they come to me and they lack every piece of education necessary to talk to people, I would probably start with the education first.
Yeah.
Worst case
Meaning
scenario,
just books
books, tapes, whatever you want to do. Even something like Anthony Robbins. There's a lot of guys out there now. I mean, if you're on Instagram for more than 5 seconds, you've got 100 dudes that are willing to give you their.
There's
their
so
ideas.
much motivational stuff.
There is. I mean, you can find any kind of sales technique or ability, and I'm sure that with the advent of AI, you could probably create a pretty successful business solely based upon that. So if you have knowledge in those areas, but I would take a novice that didn't know anything, say a 19-year-old kid comes to me and says, how are you going to make money in a network marketing business? Because it can be done. You can make good money. I think my best year, I made $130,000, I think.
Nice.
And I was 27.
Awesome.
It was a decent year. In fact, the bad part of that was I had kind of let my job go, made enough money where I didn't have to do anything. I'd wake up at noon and go show the plan once at 7 o'clock, maybe do a couple meetings in the middle of the day. It made me lazy. And I should have continued the push. And I think I still sponsored 100, 150 people into my organization that year personally.
Right.
But if somebody came to me and said, hey, what would you do? First of all, I'd set them up with somebody like Jimmy. I'd say, man, I've got a great guy that can mentor you, show you how to do it. But from what I know of you and your experience at 19 or 25 or 35 or 50 is going to be different dependent upon who you are as a person. The things that you do physically, mentally, and emotionally now. If you're already in car sales and you know the rough rigum that takes to be able to be functional and sell 20 cars a month, you've already got what it takes on the personal side to be able to call and follow up, get your people in, sell a deal, make sure that it happens, and follow up with that person. What you don't know is the training side, how to lift someone up from the bottom and bring them up and start teaching and training. And so would I recommend it to the right person? Absolutely. To the wrong person, there's other stuff out there.
Yeah.
I
mean, even Robert Kiyosaki talks about it. It's like it's such a good skill to learn how to talk to random people and start a conversation.
100%.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I remember falling on my face multiple times. This was the war. Rachel teases me about this. We were in Barnes and Nobles, and I was just trying to find a way to just, we'd go prospect and like, okay, we're going to go meet somebody and get them into the business, and let's go to Barnes and Nobles. There's people there. So we went there, and I remember seeing this lady one time. Rachel's with me, so it's not like we're split.
Yeah.
And she's looking at this pregnancy book, and I don't know why I said this. I said, so are you pregnant, or you trying to get pregnant, or something like, oh God. I was like the worst thing somebody could have said. And Rachel's like elbow. I'm like, sorry, babe. I'm just trying to start a conversation but I mean, obviously we're going to have those flounders, but it taught me how to not to approach people like that. But I think just being able to start a conversation with just somebody at a gas pump, if I had to, I could do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and here's